Hello everybody and welcome to the new United Stand review. Week 2, the big results are in. Manchester United won. We won last night on the Friday night review, but how are you feeling after the results of our rivals today? What I would say is quite simply, we will very rarely will Jose Mourinho give up a 5-point lead on Arsene Wenger. So it may well be game 2. But game 2, I think Arsenal are pretty much, well, you know what, you probably get laughed at for saying they're out of it, but we've got 5 points on them. Yeah, they've had Leicester away and Liverpool at home, but Liverpool lost to Burnley as well. That just shows you the sort of team they are. No consistency, no bottle. I don't expect Liverpool and Arsenal to cause a problem for us at all, if I'm absolutely honest. But what I do expect is obviously Chelsea could cause us some problems, and Manchester City obviously as well. Drop us a like on the video. Another new studio for you to try out doing from the Draughty Devil. I think brilliant work. We've got a bigger live comments box. We've still got the little tiki-taka thing over on the... That's Man City, isn't it? We've got the little taka there. Get involved, like the video, enjoy it. So I want to talk about Manchester United. I'm going to talk about a little bit of the negatives about Manchester United. Surprise, surprise. No, I've been really positive. There are some negative things I want to get into because I think... You know what? It's a brilliant time to be slightly negative because we've got 6 points. We've won 2 games convincingly. I think it helps in a way that Man City won today and Chelsea won today because we've all got the same points, so we're not going to get carried away with ourselves. Spurs were my dark horse at the start of the season and they are very much in touching distance. They have had a difficult start to the season in some ways, Spurs. Away to Everton, home to Palace. The sort of games they could slip up. They haven't lost. They've got 4 points. They're within touching distance. And we've got a top of the table clash next week, haven't we, against Mike Phelan's Hull City. I've got, you know what, an early heads up on that. We're going to win that game. I think the likes of Zlatan and Pogba, they bring a lot to the table. They bring a hell of a lot to the table. What they do bring is they're match winners, and I've got no concerns about Hull. I think we're all starting to look forward to that Man City game after the international break. Early September. I expect they'll have 9 points as well because they've got West Ham at home next Sunday, and then we go into that one. And it was going to get built up anyway, wasn't it? But it is going to be absolutely huge. Live comments is started there. We don't know that. Louise O'Donoghue saying that the title is between United and City. I think Chelsea have had an interesting start, Louise. I wouldn't be too focused on Manchester just yet. If you've watched Chelsea, I've seen them play the Monday night, and I was sort of keeping an eye. I wasn't watching it earlier on, but they've obviously you'll take a lot of confidence from not deserving to win games, but winning them late on. I think he's got a massive job on Conte at Chelsea, and I still think they've got a lot of bottle jobs in that team who are just down tools when things don't go their way. So, but top 4 for Chelsea would be great, considering they're not even in Europe this year. That's what Liverpool should be aiming for. They beat Arsenal, they get carried away with themselves, and they get beaten by Burnley. A lot of people talking about Andre Gray's comments. Unbelievable that a professional footballer. I know the Twitter comments are about 3 or 4 years old, but you know, they're homophobic and they're vulgar, aren't they? And it's not acceptable. But you know what I always say? A lot of footballers, they're held up as role models. They're great on the pitch, but a lot of them are complete arseholes off it. And you know, reality bites, doesn't it? Not our problem. Klopp or flop, says Salmon FC. Just looking at some of the results today, I was quite impressed with Everton coming back against West Brom. They've had a difficult start, Spurs and then West Brom away. I think Koeman is a manager we mentioned on the United Stand probably around October time last year. We're talking about managers for Manchester United, and I said Pochettino or Koeman. Obviously Pochettino went on to great things. I think Koeman is a good manager, and I think he will do well at Everton. So they've had a fairly decent start as well. Spurs, as I said, keep an eye on them. Very settled squad. They've added a couple of good players in Wanyama and Janssen. I don't think they're going to go anywhere. It's going to be competitive, and the great thing about it is we can't do any more than have 2 wins from 2 games, and we are right at the top of the tree in relation to being in the mix. We wouldn't be in the mix with Van Gaal. We'd have dropped silly points. We know that. So Jose is a fantastic manager. I don't think we will give up that 5-point lead we've got on Arsenal already. I don't think Liverpool are a threat, but I think at the moment it's very interesting with Chelsea, City, ourselves, Spurs. Let's see what happens. I think City are City. I've watched them today at lunchtime, and I wasn't that impressed with them. I think Aguero, even, you know, there's nothing new about what Aguero's doing. He's been doing this for the last 2 years. He gets injured, and that probably doesn't help City that much. But He's prolific, and I've not seen anything about City that's made me that worried. They got 2 late goals. It was 2-1 again, like it was against Sunderland. And bring them on Old Trafford. I think that's one game we've got to really get in at them. And I tweeted out this morning about Pogba, saying that he showed glimpses of yesterday of a player that we haven't had in the Premier League since Ronaldo was here. And you've got everyone going Suarez, Aguero, Silva, people like that. No. When I'm talking about glimpses, I'm talking about world-class quality here. And there hasn't been a world-class quality player in the Premier League since Ronaldo. Suarez had a decent season, but then he sodded off, didn't he? And you know what? Even then, Ronaldo compared to what Suarez did was just a different level. And what I saw from Pogba yesterday, and somebody had a go at me for this, think what you like about it. I tweeted this morning as well. I said Pogba was 70% match fit at best yesterday, and he showed glimpses of brilliance. And somebody was, oh, stop giving him a hard time. I'm not giving him a hard time. I'm saying he's got another 30% to go up compared to what he did yesterday. And yesterday was pretty good. These negatives we think I'm going to talk about in a minute, they're actually really positives, because things can get better than what they are now, and we're already convincingly winning games, which we haven't done for 3 years. So let's not under-egg the pudding here. I mean, we really are winning games convincingly. The last 2 games, our opposition would have had to score 2 goals, just to get a point out of it. So they're convincing wins. There's glimpses of what's happening. It's getting better by the week. I think it's great that we're not playing for a whole other week now, because it's another week for them to get used to Jose. We're not in the silly League Cup midweek. Nazar saying Suarez is world class. We're talking about the Premier League here. Plentiful says Van Persie, Suarez, Aguero, world class. I don't agree with them being world class, actually. I'm not going down the world class argument. For me, world class players, there's only 1 or 2 in your lifetime generation sort of thing. But Ronaldo, I remember Ronaldo, and Ronaldo was on a different level to Suarez, Van Persie and Aguero in the Premier League. And what I saw from Pogba yesterday for a midfielder, I haven't seen from a midfielder in a long, long time. And let's forget, you're quoting to me strikers. Ronaldo wasn't a striker, he played on the wing predominantly, and Pogba's a centre midfielder. And for a centre midfielder to do some of the things he was doing yesterday, which is like instant control, blitzing past people, taking them on, I haven't seen. I mean, it was almost, you can't relate him to Gascoigne, but it was that sort of that ability to pick the ball up in the midfield and just run away with it. It was really, really good. DeAndre Williams, how did Forest do Goldbridge? I don't know. I don't know. Someone wants to let me know. I don't know what Forest score was today. I presume they must have been having a 3 o'clock kickoff. So let me know, because I'm a big Forest fan. So let me know what the score was there. So yeah, that's going to improve as well. Pogba's going to get better. But what I see with the likes of Pogba and Zlatan especially is they're winners. And that gives me, as well with the manager on the side, those 3 people give me a massive amount of confidence every game we go into, which again, I don't think we've had for 3 years. And as I said, we certainly haven't had convincing wins. Daniel Young, exactly. What's Pogba going to be like when he's 100%? It's going to go to a different level. Craig Farrell, Ronaldo and Messi are world class. They're the only 2 world class players I feel at the moment, because they are so far ahead of other people. So if you start throwing the likes of Suarez and others into the world class category, it's really unfair on Ronaldo and Messi, who are really just another level. Ryan says Forest won 4-3. Way, great. Yeah, a few of you saying it now. But yeah, some of the other things, they're not really negatives. You can't really have a negative when Manchester United are effectively top of the league after 2 wins. And what I would say is that I think, oh God, let's just do it. Okay, there's a lot of Rooney hate going on today, and it starts every season and it's going off again. You've got the Rooney lovers and you've got the people who I think are probably, in fairness, being a bit more realistic. I do think people who back Rooney, a majority of them, support Wayne Rooney FC and not Manchester United FC. Yesterday he was probably a 6 out of 10, which from Bournemouth going up from a 4 out of 10, he was better yesterday. He set a goal up, which people seems to think we should have a parade around Manchester because he set a goal up. If you watch that back, a player who's on £50,000 a week with the freedom he had to put that cross in should be able to put a good cross in. He had the freedom of Manchester to put that cross in. He put it in and we scored a goal. Well done. The rest of the game, if you watch it back, which I did this morning, there's a few things I'm going to say now. People may agree, may not. Cameron, I'll answer your wedding question in a minute. when I watched the game back and I took some notes last night, I was like, the notes I had last night were, why are Southampton getting so many breakaways against us? And I felt Southampton were quite wasteful. I think on the balance of play, we took our chances, we deserved to win it. But Southampton did have a lot of break-ons and they did have a lot of possession in the final third. So I was looking at that, and the reality is there's two reasons for that. In the predominance, if that is a word, again, the ball was breaking down at the number 10 position a lot. The ball was going into Rooney, he was getting tackled or he was misplacing passes, and we were sort of on the momentum of a forward move. He'd lose the ball and that gives Southampton a lot of space to run into, which you get at Old Trafford. So a lot of that was down to Rooney. A couple of chances for Southampton that happened. There was Shane Long in the second half where he got a good header. He got ahead of Daley Blind. It was probably the only mistake Daley Blind made. And then there was a few mistakes down the right-hand side, which comes down to what I've been saying. Valencia's been doing really well going forward. In fact, there was a brilliant opportunity when he was down the right-hand side in the second half. It was going to be Zlatan's hat-trick. We were shouting out on the watch-along, Antonio, just do your normal, this new cross that he's figured out that Zlatan loves, which instead of blasting it along the floor, he's hanging him up. And Zlatan loves it. He got up and he hit the top of his head. It could have been a hat-trick. Defensively, Valencia's positional sense is poor. And if you watched it back, there was a few occasions, definitely down the right, and some of it was Mata's fault as well, where Southampton were getting in down the right-hand side, and there was a good couple of crosses came in. I think Tadic also scored from an offside goal. So that's something to watch out for the rest of the season. I'm far from saying drop Valencia, drop Mata. I'm never going to say drop Rooney because it's not going to happen. What I'm saying is there are areas of the pitch that we can improve on, which is what you want to improve on. And then the big one that I'm going to talk about, because somebody said, when are you going to do a video saying you were wrong about Fellaini? I'm never going to do a video about that. I will stand by the fact that we won't win the Premier League if we persist with Marouane Fellaini as our defensive midfielder. And that is my opinion. It's not the United Stand opinion. I know people tomorrow on the show who are coming on want to defend him. It is my opinion. I've been consistent about Fellaini since the day we bought him, that I don't like him in a Manchester United shirt. I think Jose's got the best out of him I've ever seen, but if you watch the second half yesterday, Nathan Redmond was absolutely tearing him a new arsehole for pace. If you don't believe me, watch it back. They were getting a lot of ball in the final third, and it was happening because they put Redmond onto Fellaini, and he was just beating him for pace and beating him a lot. Fellaini worked tirelessly, he did his best, and you know what? At the moment, we probably don't have a better defensive midfielder than Marouane Fellaini, because Schneidlin has been shocking. A lot of people don't like Schneidlin. I hope he can be the defensive midfielder we need. Carrick's on the decline, and Herrera doesn't offer the height that we need to have in that position when you've got Daley Blind as your centre-back. What Fellaini is doing really well, and the reason Jose's picking him, is because Southampton yesterday couldn't really hit the balls into the channel for the likes of Shane Long to run down the channels, because the reason they couldn't do it to the left anyway, because Bay's tall and fast. Blind isn't tall and he isn't fast. If they'd hit them balls into the flanks for Shane Long, it would have been an opportunity to cause issues. But putting Fellaini there, you've got to get almost a perfect ball to do it, and to do it you've got to hit backspin on the ball, which gives Blind an opportunity and it doesn't let Long run onto it. So Fellaini was actually stood in front of our back four, stopping balls going in that exploit Blind. If Blind lost his place to Smalling, he probably could play Carrick or Herrera in that position, but Fellaini's there really basically to stop to win the headers, which is what he was doing. So he's doing a good job at the moment, but don't be fooled. If you watch football tactically, don't be fooled by the fact that Southampton did have a lot of ball in the final third yesterday. That was because Rooney kept breaking the ball down and because Fellaini was quite slow when they put Redmond on him. But we won the game. These are little things that I would change. The big thing I would change that I've saved till last, and it might be controversial, is I wouldn't drop Fellaini for Hull game. Let me just say that I wouldn't drop him because he's doing well in that position at the moment. But I think over the course of the season, he will get found out in that position because he just doesn't have the mobility or the ball distribution. I'd drop Mata for Mkhitaryan. I think he needs to be in the team now. I think, you know what? Whether you're playing FIFA, whether you're playing Championship Manager or whatever, you're in control, you've picked a certain team and they're winning, and that's all good and well. And Mata's doing okay on the right. But as I said, down the right-hand side, there were some defensive errors, and that was partly Mata's fault as much as it was Valencia's fault. Mkhitaryan is he is a top player. He's top class. He's a better player than Mata, and he needs to be playing. He's quick, he's a threat, and he will scare the opposition more than Mata does on that right hand side. If I was going to make one change against Hull, and this is the only change I would make, it would be Mkhitaryan in for Mata. Let's have a look at some of your comments. Fellaini is good on the air, pace 0, says Kelvin. Play me centre defensive midfield, says Cameron Borthwick Jackson. Well, yeah, you know, where's Fosu Mensah as well? Valencia 25. We need to give Schneiderlin a chance, and Mkhitaryan should play, says Hamden YouTube. I agree with Mkhitaryan. You know, Schneiderlin's the architect of his own downfall. He should be our defensive midfielder. You know, I've always said whether you like Fellaini or not, he's not a defensive midfielder. His best position is number 10. If he can play defensive midfielder like that for Jose, then put him in his best position, number 10. He'll do a better job than Rooney. That is where Fellaini, when he was so good and destroying Manchester United for Everton, he was playing as a number 10, holding the ball up. So he's not a defensive midfielder anyway for me. But Schneiderlin needs to do better. Red Prepper says Jose's getting the best out of Fellaini, give him a chance. I'll tell you when I'll give Fellaini a chance, if he's still playing like this at Christmas. He's been rubbish for 3 years. I am not going to change my opinion on a player because he played well against Bournemouth and Southampton at home. I'll give him a 7 out of 10. I thought he faded badly in the second half. He's got to do a hell of a lot more. Yassin makes a good point. What's happening with Schweinsteiger? I think he could run that midfield for fun, to be honest. I mean, the great thing is we can carry bad performances by Rooney because he's surrounded by Pogba and Zlatan and hopefully Mkhitaryan and even Mata and even Fellaini at the moment. And Martial, you know what? I just want to say as well, I'll throw it out to the live comments. What is going on with the criticism that Anthony Martial's getting? He's our outfield player of the year last year. He was abused, not physically, in the Euros by the French Van Gaal, and you know he's been away all summer. He's come back. He's had his number 9 taken off him. I think he just needs a bit of love and attention. And we've got these new signings in Pogba and Zlatan, but we shouldn't forget Martial. We've only had him a year, less than a year, and he was amazing last year. He's showing glimpses, but you know what? Let's look at it. Let's look at the facts. We aren't using the left side very much either. I said that last week in the preview. We're not using the left side as much. When we use the left side in the limited times that we did, we're a threat. We've got to use the left-hand side more, and then Martial will do better. But, I mean, people were talking about, I think Memphis is better than Martial. Give Memphis a chance. Where was Memphis last year when we were totally reliant on Martial? Have some memory and respect. Martial, there's no problems with him at all. Colin Archer talking about Fabregas. I don't see why we'd sign Fabregas. I really do not. You know, you can't have somebody who's like the tree, 7 foot, playing as defensive midfielder and then go to Fabregas, because that's the only position I could see Fabregas coming in. You know, Pogba's the box-to-box. Rooney's clearly going to be our number 10. So where would Fabregas come on? Hamnian says Martial's having problems in his personal life. Rooney dropped, says Husaifa. I mean, we'll talk about that on the Sunday show tomorrow night, but it's not going to get dropped. Martial will improve. He will do. He's top class. That's from Matthew Aaron. Fonte question mark says 1 minute videos. I'll throw it to you lot. Would you sign Fonte? I mean, realistically, would you sign Fonte? I was so glad that he played that performance last night, because I've been saying all week when we've been heavily linked to him that why are we sign? Everyone says, oh, he's a really experienced centre-back in the Premier League. He's 4th choice at best. He's only coming, if we sign him, because he's better than Rojo and Jones. And to be honest with you, I'd rather, you know, you could play Joey Barton at centre-back and he'd be better than Rojo and Jones. Belind is better than Fonte. Bay is better than Fonte. And Smalling is better than Fonte. I even had people defending him today saying he won't have to play Zlatan every week when he's at United. Why do we want to buy a centre-back who got absolutely caned for pace whenever he was one-on-one with somebody, who when the crosses came in against Zlatan, he was getting put in the net with the ball? That is not a centre-back that we want at Manchester United. And as I keep saying, he looked like a 33-year-old last night. He played like a 33-year-old last night, and he's 33 in December. I don't want him for any money, and to be honest, I don't care how experienced he is, he's going to be 4th choice. If we're signing a centre-back, which actually I don't think we need to, if we're signing a centre-back, let's be greedy, let's go out and buy a 40 million centre-back like Manolas, who is actually going to be challenging our best centre-back. Fonte is going to be fourth choice. No, no, no for me. Jason Braithwaite says he's rubbish. I'd rather play youth, says British Dwarf. Well, yeah, I mean, Twansibi, exactly. Any news on Gabigol, says Abdul. Well, they're still in the Olympics, so mate. Transfers have gone a bit quiet lately because that's because football started, but I do believe we'll sign Fabinho. And Barbosa could well happen. We'll see what happens when the Olympics is over. Chris Johnson wants Mkhitaryan to be given a chance. I've got a feeling Mkhitaryan might start against Hull because we want to be having... Apparently we're in for Varane, says 1 minute videos. I'll happily do a video on that. We're working towards that City game, and you can pick people like Valencia and Mata and Blind and Fellaini because they're playing well and we're winning at the moment. But when it comes to the City game, you've got to have your first 11 out there. And at the moment, he's got his first 11 out, and it doesn't include Mkhitaryan for some reason or other. But that team will come unstuck at some point against a decent team because there are 5 potential issues in that team. You know, Blind's playing brilliant at the moment, as is Valencia, as is Fellaini, as is Mata, and as is Rooney. But they're 5 positions that actually I think are still up for grabs in Jose's long-term plans. Whether it's Smalling coming in for Blind, whether it's signing Fabinho as a right back, whether it's Mkhitaryan, which definitely should happen for Mata, and I'd move Mata into Rooney's position, or whether it's Fellaini getting pressured by Schneiderlin or Carrick, which is what you want. The Rooney position, which is probably the most problematic position we've got in the whole 11, I think is cemented down to him, unfortunately. But I think by the City game, we've got to be looking to have Mkhitaryan on the right, because then if Martial improves, Mkhitaryan on the right, he's just electric, fast and skillful. You've got Martial and Mkhitaryan, you've got Zlatan up front, who's scoring goals for fun. Forget Rooney. You've got Pogba box to box. Suddenly we've got a very, very exciting team. And I think, you know, with only 1 game left before City, Hull next week, he's got to give Mkhitaryan a good run of minutes because you can't just basically unleash him on City. So I think he'll start next week. Otherwise, I'd be slightly worried about what's going on because if Mata starts next week, then there's a high chance he'll be starting against City. And Mata, for me, against the big teams with no pace, he isn't going to cause their left-back problems. Mkhitaryan will cause him problems. Football Daily said that we're in for Varane in their latest video. I've not heard anything, and I think Varane said a couple of weeks ago that he was he wouldn't be coming to United, although he does speak very glowingly about Jose. On our average pass distance is 18 metres. We didn't need another centre back. We have Smalling, Bay, Blind, Jones and Fosu Mensah. Fosu Mensah needs to get involved. I mean, Jose said something very interesting last night. I know people are concerned about Memphis and other players who aren't getting on the bench, and Rashford again. I would have brought Rashford on last night. I mean, maybe we were hanging on for Zlatan to get his hat-trick, but I think Rashford would have caused them some problems on the break. But then he brought Mkhitaryan on for the pace anyway. But what Jose did say is that he can't wait for us to start getting some Europa League and League Cup games so he can start rewarding some of the wider squad, which he can't reward at the moment. So that's interesting. I mean, the reality is you've got Hull next Saturday night, then it's an international break, then you come back into that City game, and then the games come thick and fast. And I can't wait. I'm really, really excited. I'm really pleased with where we are. Chelsea are obviously up there with us. City are up there with us. You know, in an ideal world, they would have dropped some points, but you know, we've got all we can do is what we're doing. Brilliant that, you know, Arsenal are 5 points behind us. Liverpool, I thought they would have won today. That's a massive 3 points drop for them. And if you're in the Fantasy Premier League, I told you I would come back. I don't know how I'm doing on my score predictions. I need to check for the video from Thursday for today. But I definitely predicted Man United 2-0. And my Fantasy Premier League team is doing very, very well for those who asked. I'm on my way back up and I will be challenging this year. Zlatan was my captain. I have got Aguero because you're an idiot if you aren't. Ross Barkley with an assist. Gareth McCauley with a goal. Kasper Schmeichel with a clean sheet. Off the top of my head, I think that's, well, obviously Luke Shaw from last night as well. So it's going well. Got a great day tomorrow. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that. Really, really pleased. Yeah, Eric Bailly, says Abdul. What about him? He's said, you know, the fact that we're not mentioning him that much is just been a revelation. You know, Zlatan's scoring the goals. Pogba's cameo was brilliant yesterday. But Bailly's been superb. We just need Mkhitaryan now, which I think out of the 4 will be our most consistent performer, as mad as that sounds. He just needs to get in the team. I don't know why he's not in the team. It is a bit weird, but he will be. We just need a bit of patience. We definitely just need a bit of patience. Would you swap Darmian for Fabinho, says Master Arano? I'm a big fan of Darmian. I thought Jose would be. He clearly isn't. I expect Darmian to be gone. Obviously, that's something to bear in mind over the next few days. United Stand, obviously, we'll be covering it all. The transfer window's up and closed, isn't it, after the next weekend? And I do expect there to be some business coming in and out. Part of me, the stubborn part of me, and there is a stubborn part to me, hopes that Schweinsteiger stays because whether he's part of Jose's plans or not, we signed him a year ago. We gave him loads of money. He's not done anything wrong. I think he's got every right to say, you know what, I'm not going. I sort of hope that happens because I've just got a massive man crush on Schweinsteiger, and I just think why let a player go like that when defensive midfield is a problem for us at the moment? We're playing Fellaini there, who for me, I just don't think we win a title with him as our defensive midfielder. You've got Schneiderlin, who's not produced the goods. You've got Carrick, who's on the decline. Why get rid of Bastian Schweinsteiger, even if he's just going to be as a backup? I just think it's silly to let him go, but let's see what happens. Thanks everybody for watching. The next show is going to be Sunday Night Live at 8:30. We've got another new studio to show you for that. We've got 2 guests on tomorrow. Your live comments will be up on the screen as per usual. Still got my little ticker there that you can read all about. I think it's just going past now. Take a look at our Patreon page. The link is in the video description if you'd want any questions read out. We've also got a couple of other rewards you can get involved with as well. That's well worth having a look at. And drop us a like on the video. I'm really liking the new setups. Thanks to the Draughty Devil for that. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Well, the rest of your Saturday night, and tomorrow we will be back with you. But I think we've covered everything we need to do. It's a good weekend. We do need City and Chelsea to start dropping points. They have been slightly lucky. I think the thing is, if you've actually watched the City and Chelsea games, we're the most convincing side at the top at the moment in relation to the games we've won, apart from Hull, funnily enough, who we'll beat next week. But see you all tomorrow. Thanks everybody for watching, and I hope you're enjoying the content on the United Stand. Massive applause to you all lot. I love the fact that we were able to get you on the live comments more and more on more of our videos now. And I shall see you all tomorrow. Thanks everyone for watching. Great weekend.